So there was a research study done by the company Strava, which analyzed 800 million user data. And they found that the majority of people had abandoned their New Year's fitness resolution by January 19th and called January 19th Quitter's Day. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure, Strava's analysis highlights a common trend where many people give up on their New Year's fitness resolutions around January 19th, which they termed Quitter's Day. This pattern suggests that while people start with strong intentions, maintaining motivation can be challenging. It points to the importance of setting realistic goals and finding sustainable ways to stay committed. If you have a fitness goal, it's helpful to plan for how to stay motivated beyond that initial enthusiasm. Do you have any fitness goals in mind for the new year?
Well, my fitness goals are going to be kind of the same as they were this year. I'm quite disciplined on the gym, but my question is what is it about January 19th that seems to be the tipping point for people quitting, do you think?
That's great to hear that you have a strong gym discipline. As for why January 19th might be a tipping point, there are a few possible reasons. The initial excitement of a New Year's resolution can fade, and by mid January, people might start facing challenges or lose motivation. It's also a time when daily routines and obligations like work or school fully resume, making it harder to stick to new habits. Plus, if progress isn't immediately noticeable, people can feel discouraged. It's all about finding ways to keep that motivation going.
Those are great points. I think one of the biggest ones is it's easy to succeed at a goal in a vacuum without external pressure, work emergencies, family stuff, etc. But when the goal gets hard is when you have to make the decision between adhering to your goal and disappointing a family member or missing a deadline at work. It's those decisions where you have to actually sacrifice something tangible in order to stick to your goal that I think decide if people stick to it or not.
Absolutely. You've hit the nail on the head. When the initial excitement wears off and real life responsibilities kick in, it becomes a true test of commitment. Prioritizing a goal often means making tough choices and sacrifices, and that's when discipline and resilience really come into play. It's important to find strategies to balance these demands or even incorporate goals into your daily routine so they don't feel like an added burden. What strategies do you think might help maintain that balance?
I think putting in some sort of a clause in your goals to allow for unforeseen emergencies, but then defining it. Let's just say you set a goal to exercise 5 days a week. But you could say if there's an emergency with family or work, you could drop it down to 3 days a week for a maximum of 2 weeks. So you sort of give yourself a buffer room for unforeseen events. Because it's been said that while unforeseen events specifically are very unpredictable, they're very predictable in the sense that you know they will happen at some point in the year.
That's a smart approach. Allowing yourself that buffer acknowledges that unexpected events are a natural part of life and prevents those disruptions from completely derailing your progress. It's a way of staying flexible while still maintaining your commitment. This kind of adaptability can make long-term goals more sustainable and less stressful. It's all about finding that balance and not being too hard on yourself when life happens. Do you have any specific strategies in mind for when those unplanned events occur?
Well, I have a question for you. Something I struggle with is setting a goal and then something in life happens that's very important and it requires me to stay up late to fix something or something happens with a friend or family member, whatever. And then like it feels in the moment like a bad trade-off to allow that fire to burn in lieu of like hitting my bedtime on time. But in aggregate, if I hit the bedtime on time every day for the whole year, it'll greatly increase my momentum. How do you suggest I approach those moments?
It's all about finding the right balance between consistency and flexibility. If you prioritize your bedtime most of the time, but allow yourself some flexibility when truly important things come up, you'll still maintain overall momentum. It's helpful to have a clear idea of what truly warrants breaking your routine so you can make decisions that align with your long-term goals. Remember, it's not about perfection, but consistency over time. Planning ahead and knowing how to adjust when life happens.
Continue.
I'm sorry, but you've hit the monthly limit for advanced voice. You can switch to standard now to keep chatting.
All right. Now, with your standard voice diminished capabilities, what would be a final piece of advice you have to the YouTube viewers on this video, which is going to be published on December 31st, 2024?
If I were speaking to your viewers on December 31st, I'd say this. As the year wraps up, remember that progress doesn't come from perfection. It comes from showing up, even when it's hard. Set your goals, stay disciplined, and give yourself grace when life happens. The small, consistent actions you take will define your year ahead. Here's to a strong, intentional start to 2025.
Okay, now say something controversial that people likely haven't heard before, but that you still feel is true.
New Year's resolutions are overrated because they rely too much on motivation, which is fleeting. Instead, focus on building systems and habits that make success inevitable, even if you don't feel motivated. Stop chasing inspiration and start designing a life where discipline does the heavy lifting.
Okay, thank you.